Banco Central Heist. In 2005, a group of criminals carried out one of the largest bank robberies in history in Fortaleza, Brazil. The gang rented a nearby property and spent months digging a tunnel nearly 80 meters long that led directly into the vault of the Banco Central Bank. Over a weekend, they broke into the vault and stole roughly $70 million in cash. The heist shocked authorities and became famous for its elaborate planning and engineering. Investigators later discovered the tunnel was carefully reinforced with wood and even had lighting installed. Despite multiple arrests, a large portion of the stolen money was never recovered. The Great Train Robbery. In 1963, a gang of robbers targeted a Royal Mail train in England that was carrying large amounts of cash. The criminals tampered with railway signals to stop the train and then overpowered the crew. They escaped with around £2.6 million, which was an enormous sum at the time. Many members were eventually caught, but the crime became one of Britain's most legendary heists. Some of the robbers were later tracked down after police found fingerprints at their hideout. The daring operation inspired numerous books, documentaries, and films about the crime. Brinksmat Gold Heist. In 1983, a group of armed robbers broke into a warehouse near Heathrow Airport in London expecting to steal cash. Instead, they discovered gold bullion and diamonds worth around £26 million. The criminals struggled to sell the gold without attracting attention, and the case later became linked to money laundering and organized crime networks. Much of the stolen gold was melted down and mixed into the legitimate market. The investigation lasted years and uncovered a vast criminal network tied to the heist. United California Bank Heist. In 1972, criminals connected to the mafia broke into the United California Bank in Laguna Niguel, California. The group managed to steal about $30 million in cash and valuables from hundreds of safe deposit boxes. It was the largest bank burglary in U.S. history at the time. Investigators eventually traced the thieves after one of them spent large amounts of money carelessly. A key break in the case came when police found evidence left behind at the crime scene. Several suspects were later convicted for their roles in the burglary. Knightsbridge Security Deposit Heist. In 1987, Italian criminal Valerio Vice and his accomplices carried out a daring robbery in London's Knightsbridge Safe Deposit Center. Pretending to be customers renting a deposit box, they gained access to the vault and then restrained the staff. The gang emptied numerous deposit boxes and escaped with valuables worth more than £60 million. Vici later fled the country and lived lavishly on the stolen money. However, he was eventually arrested after returning to Britain to retrieve his Ferrari. Dunbar Armored Heist. In 1997, a former employee of the Dunbar Armored facility in Los Angeles orchestrated an inside job. Using his knowledge of the building's security, he and several accomplices entered the depot and stole around $18.9 million. The robbery was considered the largest cash heist in U.S. history, though most of the gang members were eventually arrested. The mastermind believed his familiarity with the security systems would help them avoid suspicion. However, investigators later traced the criminals through suspicious spending and informants. Banco Rio Heist. In 2006, a group of robbers carried out a highly theatrical bank robbery in Buenos Aires, Argentina. They took hostages inside the bank while secretly digging an escape route through underground tunnels connected to the sewer system. When police stormed the building, the criminals had already escaped with about $20 million. The robbers left behind toy guns and clever notes mocking the authorities. The case later became known as one of the most creative and cinematic bank robberies in history. Northern Bank Robbery. In 2004, one of the largest bank robberies in British history occurred in Northern Ireland. Criminals kidnapped the families of bank employees and forced them to help access the vaults of the Northern Bank. The robbers escaped with about £26.5 million, and the case sparked political controversy due to suspected links with paramilitary groups. Authorities struggled to track the stolen money, which had already been widely distributed. The incident also raised serious concerns about security procedures within financial institutions. Hatton Garden Heist. In 2015, a group of elderly criminals nicknamed the Bad Grandpas carried out a burglary at the Hatton Garden Safe Deposit Company in London. During a holiday weekend, they drilled through a thick vault wall and stole millions in jewelry and cash from deposit boxes. Despite their careful planning, investigators eventually caught the group through surveillance footage. Police also used phone records and GPS tracking to identify the suspects. The unusual age of the criminals made the case even more famous in the media. Loomis Fargo Heist. In 1997, a vault supervisor at Loomis Fargo in North Carolina helped steal over $17 million from the armored car company's vault. The theft involved several accomplices and required moving huge amounts of cash out of the facility overnight. The criminals struggled to hide the money, and many were eventually arrested. Large amounts of cash were discovered buried in yards and hidden in storage units. The bizarre mistakes made by the thieves quickly led investigators to their trail. If you like this video, hit subscribe, and check out this next one you might enjoy.